Good afternoon, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's time for live full-time reaction to Celtic 2, Kilmarnock 0 at Celtic Park. I'm joined by Martin and Callum to go over today's game. This is the live format. You can ask your questions in the live chat box below. Martin, a win, home league win, much needed. What do you make of that this afternoon?
Good to get the win, as you said. It's 27th of September since we got our last home league win against Hibs, and on that day we played quite well, but have struggled since. First half I was a bit frustrated because whilst we huffed and puffed, we didn't get that early goal. I think I've noted that in the last 8 domestic games we've not scored in the first half in 6 of those games, so that frustration continued into today where we just couldn't get that breakthrough. And it seems like such a long time since we were all sitting in the stadium, but my recollection of being at Celtic Park is you would, more often than not, you would score 1 or 2 in the first half, and then you just wonder how many you would get in the second half to build on the excellent performance in the first half. But again, that was the biggest frustration. Half time, 0-0 yet again, and hoping that we get the first goal in the second half, because again, during those eight domestic games we went behind 5 times, and if you were to give the team any praise, you'd say we've come back more often than not when we went behind, but we want to try and avoid that with the run we're on. So good going into the second half to get that goal relatively early, 57 minutes. You want to go within an hour for sure. And then I thought second half was much better. We gained in confidence, but biggest frustration is just not getting that early goal. Overall, Paul, quite pleased. Like 25 shots I think today, and 9 of those on target. We just need to start being a bit more ruthless and getting some goals, because the big difference between this year and last year, we've talked a lot about conceding goals, but we're not scoring as many as well. But overall, pleased. Seemed to be a bit more of a swagger in our performance. It did feel quite different to the last 2 home games. The draw and the defeat in the cup, it felt, I don't know, just a slight difference in personnel. Felt like we were much better offensive, and I think then with a couple of players in different positions, it felt better today overall.
Yeah, Callum, we all wanted to see Sorry and Turnbull start after Thursday night's game. Hazard continued in goals today as well. But as Martin says, early on in the game, I just thought, much like a lot of first halves we've seen this season, kind of drifted a wee bit. We were playing in moments. I think we only 2 shots at goal, 2 shots on target in that first half even. So it didn't quite click for us in the first half, and you just feared the worst after the recent one.
Aye, as Martin covered, actually, you need to give credit to Kilmarnock, because they had a game plan to come to Celtic Park, sit in, frustrate Celtic, and then hit them on the counter. And in Celtic, that's where they've been wrong in the past couple of weeks to this time, is Celtic are more patient. They didn't go gun-ho straight after. They took their time. They kept moving the ball. I thought they moved the ball actually really good. And the pitch wasn't the best either. The pitch is kind of tearing up a lot. So it's not a great surface to maybe play some really good football on, but I think that you've seen that. And as I said, Kilmarnock sat in. They made it very difficult. They never really tested Hazard, apart from the one in the second half where he makes a really good save. That's all that he really had to do. So I think it was a good performance today. First half was a little bit finding our feet, getting the basics done, feeling, get us into the game, and then second half we came out a different animal. I thought we went up the gears pretty well, and the 2 boys that you mentioned, with Sorrell and Turnbull, I thought they 2 are really good as well. Sorrell tried to break up everything in there, and Kilmarnock's quite notorious for the likes of Alan Power, Millenboot, these type of players that want to fight with. I thought Sorrell done quite well, and it allowed Callum McGregor to then go on a little bit and play his football. And McGregor knew that he didn't have to watch over his shoulder to get back if that's Brown, just with the legs. Sorrell's got the legs to cover himself, cover the ground. So he done really well on Turnbull. He gets the assists at the corner for Duffy's goal. So all in all, it's what I asked for. It's a couple of goals, a clean sheet, and we move on with a bit of confidence.
Martin, the other thing that stayed the same from Thursday night was Christopher Ajer at right back. Jerry Collins asking, do you think we're better with 3 or 4 at the back, Ajer at right back? Khalifa's asking in the comments as well, do you think Ajer is better than Frimpong at right back? How do you think Ajer done there today? I think he actually got the sponsor man of the match. Do you think, we've seen him before, seen Ajer before fill in at right back, do you think he could be a long-term solution in that position?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've found a solution there now. I thought he was very good today. I did see he got the man of the match. Although I see he handed it to Duffy. He thought Duffy was man of the match. But Ajer was good on the right. We know how good it is. We've seen him do it a lot of time through the centre of the park. He's been involved in a lot of goals during his time at Celtic, where he just drives forward and he plays a great pass, and normally one pass thereafter that we get a goal. So he's really good at that, and I think out wide he'll get a lot of opportunity to do it. So without a doubt, I think he's better playing on the right. Julian or Beaton have quite often been, if it's been a back three, they've been drawn out onto the right hand side, and we've lost quite a number of goals down that side. So I think Ajer is worth a try. I think without doubt, it's worth trying something different down that side, because it hasn't worked. El Hamid, when he has been playing, has fallen out of form and is now talking about being unsettled. So I think Ajer for sure. Let's keep him in there. I thought he was excellent today. He's certainly got a lot of energy in him. He's got those big long legs and he likes to go on a run. And because Frimpong struggled to go back and El Hamid hasn't been playing well, we've had a real problem down that side. It was the left side in the earlier part of the season, and now it's become the right side. So I think we should give it a try. I think Ajer's the answer there without a doubt. We were praising him during the week as well, for his mazy run down the wing, if you remember. So again, for him to follow that up and play well down the right side today, I think is given us a bit of confidence that there's a potential solution in there. And the clean sheet piece, delighted with that, because first clean sheet in 7 domestic games. It's hard to believe that we would flood the number of goals that we have. I think there's 11 goals in the last 6, which has been a real worry. So clean sheet tells you that defensively, not just because of Ajer, but defensively we were much better today. And as Callum says, Kilmarnock weren't coming to score goals. They only had 1 shot on target, but equally, we've been talking about anybody who passes a halfway line has got a good chance of scoring against us. It didn't quite feel that way today. So, definitely Ajer for me, Paul, is worth playing. It'll be interesting to see if he does that next week.
Yeah, you talk about the clean sheets there. I think it's first clean sheet in 9 in all competitions and 20 goals conceded in that time as well. So I think, again, today we did look slightly better for a defensive organisation point of view. We limited Kilmarnock to very, very little. That's why Hazard had so little to do. A lot of comments coming in, by the way, about the pitch. The pitch is in terrible nick, and we've got a lot of games coming up this month, a lot of home games coming up, Callum. It doesn't look very good for the money we've spent on it, does it?
No, and we've had issues with this pitch, even under Brendan Rodgers. Remember that pitch that got put down in the first year and it wasn't right, and then it had to get to turn up again in the second season. We've not really had a luck. And as you say, there's barely been any football being played on it to the amount of games that are having to come up. As you cover, we've got a lot of home games. So as I said today, I thought we actually played some good football on no great pitch. I thought we did play some decent football. Some of the passes, the McGregor, as Martin covered, on the right side with Ajer bombing down that line, he was getting onto a lot of them. And I think also the difference between Ajer and Frimpong is nobody puts that long ball over that side because they know Ajer's going to win that ball. Where Frimpong is always targeted because of his height, and a lot of teams are getting at that, and that's where they go for. They go for that bit to put him under pressure. Where when you've got Ajer at that side, I don't know if it's just me or it feels like it gives you more confidence with Celtic at the back, just with having Ajer on the right side, because he's very fast, he's very powerful, and he's tall. So he's as a winger, you don't really want to come up against that. So I thought today's performance was actually a really good performance on, not, as you say, a great pitch.
Martin, I thought David Turnbull again involved in just about everything again today, and you can see even early on when he created the chance for Julian and Rodgers made a good save in the Kilmarnock goal. His delivery for set pieces just gives us a totally different dynamic.
That delivery was excellent. His delivery for the corner was sensational. He's involved in a good chance where he played McGregor in, and McGregor put the ball across, and Eduard should have scored. He just didn't get the right connection on the ball. But involved in everything. It's his movement. It's his foresight. He sees things that other players don't see, and he creates energy in the players around about him. So I thought McGregor, Callum said it earlier on, I thought McGregor was more lively when he played around about Turnbull. Elyounoussi was good today. And again, I think he's getting the benefit of Turnbull as well. So he's bringing the best out of the other Flair players, because they probably felt a bit frustrated before that there wasn't enough going on round about them. I still think Eduard feels a bit that way, but I think it'll just take a bit of time for that to come. And whether the solution to that is to get 2 up top, it doesn't look likely that Griffiths is going to be that second player. He's not getting game time, and neither's Ajeti. I think we thought it'd be one of those two, but Kamala appears to be the player that's favoured out of 3 of those, which I think is surprising a lot of us. But in the meantime, while it's 1 up top with Eddie, I think to have Turnbull in there alongside a more offensive McGregor, Rogic appears to be back on the bench just now, but I'm sure he'll get used. So you've got Rogic, McGregor, hopefully offensively, you've got Turnbull and Elyounoussi, and having those types of players getting the benefit of Turnbull and creating a bit more movement in that space is already making a huge difference. And I think Callum said it earlier on that being able to rely on Sorrell sitting behind them, and trusting that he's going to be in that engine room is allowing those guys to play with a bit more confidence. McGregor was certainly hitting the byline a couple of times today as well, wasn't he? So that was good to see. But yeah, Turnbull was fantastic. I did hear Neil Lennon say post-match that when he was asked the question about next week and who's likely to play, his response was along the lines of, we'll need to show a bit of respect and the players who've got us to the final. So that would suggest
I heard that.
He's going to potentially bring back in some of the old school. But I think the fans would be outraged if Turnbull doesn't feature next week, and in particular, and probably Sorrow as well. They're the two that everyone will be questioning for next week. But Turnbull, excellent again, so he's done himself no harm.
Aye, absolutely. Again, a massive shout out to Short91 for the super chat. I'm happy for Hazard. He had a quiet game but made saves when needed. He seems to command the back four well. Sorrow and Turnbull played well again. Hope this is us kicking on and just starting to win games. Callum, you could definitely see a huge intensity change in the second half. As I said, in the first half, I didn't think we were particularly great, but that first 5-10 minutes of the second half, we played with a much better intensity.
Aye, we went up the gears. And even the first, I think it was maybe the first minute into it, we had a really good chance. I think it goes out for a corner, but we really put Kilmarnock under pressure at that point. They get pushed back, and I just felt that second half it's felt different from what we've had it in the last couple of weeks. The atmosphere felt different, even though it sounds silly saying that because there's nobody in the stadium. But sitting at home watching it, it feels as if there's like a different vibe around the team right now. Feels like, and I don't want to say it because it is very early, but it feels like they might have got around that corner, and now it's still fragile. It still is fragile, and it can still go wrong against a better outfit, but there is signs there that you can work with, and that they can work when they're put together well, and that's what you got today. Martin said it already. Like Turnbull, I thought was brilliant today. He finds the wee gaps that a lot of players don't ever see, and he seems to get into them, and then he can find a pass as well. His delivery. I was actually surprised as well when Christie came on that he never even took the set pieces. So that's how highly we must rank Turnbull. Is he's actually got a better set piece delivery than Ryan Christie, because he takes all our set pieces. So that tells you where he actually is. And to Martin, with the comments Lennon says about next week against Hearts, he's probably going to bring Brown back in. Let's be honest, he's going to play in a major final like that. So you're probably going to see Sorrell dropped for that. But I would expect Turnbull to be in that side. And you're probably going to maybe see Christie on the right, Turnbull on the 10, probably, and mostly Brown and McGregor. That's probably what you're going to see. But from today's performance, anyway, I'm quite happy with that he stuck with the same team as Thursday, and again, it's worked, and that's what happens when you fight for the jersey and when you take that and it's yours. Then if you keep continuing good performances, it shouldn't be taken back off you. It shouldn't be then given to somebody else. You should continue to allow to get in that, and the more games Sorrow and Turnbull get, the more they'll be better and comfortable in their positions. Especially with Turnbull and Christie, I like the look of them and Rogic on the same park. The three of them are very intelligent footballers all together. So if they can get more minutes in the park and get a good relationship, I mean that could be a deadly free behind the striker.
Aye, definitely. We'll come to the team for next weekend in more detail towards the end. Martin Eduard started today. Again, just not happening for him just now. He did have that a couple of maybe half chances in the first half. He had that one that he flashed wide when Turnbull cut it back for him. He was replaced by Klimala relatively early in the game as well. Is his form still a worry for us, given that, as you say, Griffiths isn't getting much game time? Ayeti isn't either. We've only really got Klimala, who looks like he's in with a shout a challenge in Eduard at the minute.
He is the one that so far hasn't had any direct benefit from the changes in the team, or so it appears that way anyway. Whether that'll come, it maybe just take him a few weeks to get used to what Turnbull brings, for example, and Sorrow. But so far, we haven't seen a big shift in his performance. He doesn't look happy when he came off. He didn't look happy. I think he wants to get more game time. I think it was 69 minutes Klimala came on. But is he unhappy just with the one up top? Does he want two up top? And I think in particular at home it would be good to see two up top more often. To Callum's point, just we've got so many options just behind the striker. Not out and out strikers. But talked about Rogic and Christie not playing today, and they're two are better. So to play Turnbull, to play McGregor, further up to accommodate Sorrow if Brown is going to play, and then have Rogic and Christie, it just makes it less and less likely that we're going to go to a two up top. Whereas I think most of us would like to see more at Ayeti, to see if him and Eddie could form a relationship, or whether Griffiths is going to get a chance at all this year. It's just looking likely. So yeah, he's going to have to get used to the slight changes in the team, and maybe he just needs 2 or 3 goals, Paul. I mean, the ironic thing is when he goes away and plays for his country, he's scoring goals, he's banging them in, and comes back and plays for us, and it's not quite happening. But I think the confidence from the back all the way up to Eduard will eventually translate, and he'll start to get more of the ball. I felt today like there was more confidence going forward because the back line's a bit more settled. It'd be great to see Duffy turn a corner. Maybe that few games out will help him. Maybe that's if we kick up the backside he needed. Ayer out on the right. Maybe we will start to, and the goalkeeper as well. Maybe we will start to see a big shift in mentality, big change in the body language in the players today as well. So I think Eddie will come good. He's far too good a player not to come good. I think part of it is his own personal attitude, but I think it's also frustration that things weren't happening round about him, and the players were too busy running backwards to run forward. So I think it'll come for him. He maybe just needs a hat-trick in the cup final next week to get him back into form. There's a prediction.
Aye, I think so. Aye, I'd take that. I think he does just need something to happen for him. I think at times, like, people talk about his body language all the time, and okay, we know he can help the team because he's such a good player, but sometimes the team can help him, and sometimes when a player is low in confidence, I know a lot of players have been low in confidence. Sometimes he needs his teammates to help him, but I do expect him to get through it and find some form again at some stage. Callum, we've talked about the first clean sheet in 9 games in all competitions. We also talked briefly about Hazard and the couple of saves he had to make today. What do you think for next week with the goalkeepers? I mean, I'm wary that we don't end up in a sort of Scott Bain situation where Bain came in when Barkas got injured and he had a couple of half-decent performances, but when he really got tested in the European games and the bigger games, he was found wanting. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen to Hazard, but he is relatively untested. He's not played a lot of football for Celtic at all. So how do you view the goalkeeping situation going into the cup final next week?
I'd keep Hazard in. And as you say, it's maybe the unknown that we don't know what he can give. But for me, I feel more confident in him in goals than any of our other keepers right now. I don't know if that's just down to the physicality with the size of him. I mean, I can't remember the last time I've seen a goalkeeper pick a ball at the air when somebody swung a ball in. Like, it's been so long. I mean, Scott Bain's done it a couple of times this year and spilled it and then been chasing it out the box. And it's not very good. So Barkas, he's very low in confidence. I don't know if he's settled in or not, because it just shows you. Look at El Hamad, the rumours that he's not settled in and he'd like to go back to Israel. He's been here much longer than Barkas, so Barkas could be in that same situation, but he's only been here 6 months. So I think I would go with Conor Hazard. He's been around the club long enough. He's been around the players. He's trained with them a lot. And the more games he's going to have and the clean sheets that he's going to get, the more confidence that will breed to him. And he has a big frame, so he's got a better chance of maybe saving a penalty or maybe somebody hitting it into the corner. He's just got a better chance than the likes of Bain because they're just smaller. Maybe that's unfortunate. I don't know, but it's just the way that it is. So I'd start with Hazard and goals because I think the reality is we'll bring in somebody in January. I think they'll maybe let Bain go. They'll keep Barkas and maybe put Hazard out and maybe keep the two, or make Barkas and Hazard fight for, like the rumours are, obviously Fraser Foster maybe. Like, it could be anybody, let's be honest, but I do think they will bring somebody in. So I think these games up until whenever someone comes in, I think it's Hazard's spot to lose right now.
Martin, coming to the other positions, we've talked about Neil Lennon's comments already in regards to bringing back the guys who basically got us to the Scottish Cup final for last season. Who do you think, obviously, Soro and Turnbull are the main ones this week that have impressed? I mean, what do you think? Do you think either of those two will start? Both of them? What do you think?
It's a bit like you, Paul, when you do your predictions. It's if you want, what would I do if I was the manager? I'll answer it that way. I would keep both of them in. I don't think Neil Lennon will. I think he'll bring Brown and Christian, and Turnbull and Soro will get put on the bench. Now, I'm basing that partly on his comments after the match. But if I was Neil Lennon, I would play Turnbull and Soro, and I'd be a bit gutted for Brown because he's always done for the club and I'm one of his biggest fans. But just Turnbull and Soro have been the difference in the last 2 games. They've been the standout players, so I think they've earned the right. That's supposed to be the way it works, isn't it? And I know you owe it to some of your players who've been there and got you there, but in the circumstances of those two being so good in the last 2 games, I think we'd be taking a bit of a risk. Particularly, you look at our performance level prior to that. I don't think in our history we've had a run of defeats and lost the number of goals that we've lost. So it'd be a big gamble to say let's go back to what we had before. So Hazard for me is a no-brainer. He's a no-brainer. I would have Turnbull and Sorrow in there every single day of the week. And I think Laxalt will potentially come back in for Taylor. But other than that, it'll probably be the same team today. In fact, I would play the same team today other than Laxalt. And Brown and Christie are on the bench, as is Rogic. I mean, you've got Johnston now. He'll be. I mean, he's been out for a long time, but
great to see him back today.
It was great, and he'll be desperate to get back in. Of course, we could do with the skill he's got on the wing, because he does get past players, and the likes of Eddie will benefit from him. But then Elyounoussis coming in a bit of form as well, so we'll just need to see. It's great to have options, but I think the biggest risk is Lennon's indirectly. Well, maybe he's done it directly, because I don't think he'll be backwards and going forwards with regards to how he feels after games when we've not been getting results. But I think a lot of players have been made to feel liable and to blame for some of the results. So you'll just need to be careful, because we talked during the week about it's great to see 6 changes. We wanted a bit of freshness, but equally we've been talking throughout the whole season about we need to get a settled team. So I think you get a settled team and try and stick with it for a bit of continuity, so the guys know what they're doing, and that will hopefully get us the goals earlier on, because everybody will start to understand who's where. So I would stick with Turnbull and Sorrell without a shadow of doubt if I was a gaffer, Paul.
Yeah, I think it will be a risk to go back to the sort of starting 11 that was the team for the bad run of form that we just had. I think that would be a risk. I understand what Neil Lennon is saying, that those players were who got us to this stage last season, but I said today just what you're talking about there, but glad to see the changes in, but also looking for continuity. I'm a wee bit concerned that bringing in these guys is almost like a last resort, like the Sorrows and the Turnbulls. I know they're playing well just now, and I hope it continues for as long as possible, but it does seem like a little bit of a last resort. I mean, where do we go if they can't string this run out to the end of December and then go and get a really positive result at Ibrox? I think that leaves us in a bad position. Callum, last one on today. Who's your man of the
match? I mean, we've not even covered Greg Taylor, and I'm not a fan of Greg Taylor. Right, I've made that clear. But I thought he was actually really good today, and that maybe shows when somebody is out in that situation and they've not had game time, they come in, they fight for the jersey. Like at the start of the season, we all knew our 11 pretty much, and it was the same 11, and it was stale and never moved forward for too long. And now you're covering there with Sorrow and Turnbull. Maybe they aren't the answer, but right now they are, and it's the only ones that we can rely on. And so I think the Darnell D covered it quite well. He says that you don't know who a fringe player is at the club, because right now the fringe players are actually playing now with classes. So I think we're in a better place than what we are last week anyway. And that's all we can do is go up. Do you know what I mean? It's been a long time, as you say, to get a clean sheet. But a special mention to Greg Taylor, because I thought he did do really well. He got a good couple of balls across. We just never had Eddie or Kilmarnock to finish them, but there was some that were close. But I'd probably go Turnbull. I think Turnbull. I think he was just the key today. I thought he was the best out of anybody else in that part. I know Chris Farrar got it, but I'd go Turnbull because he gets the assist and he just does stuff and you can see stuff that other players can't. So I'd get to Turnbull.
Martin, who's your man of the match, mate?
My man of the match, I was just going to say very quickly, Paul, on can one or two players make a difference? I think they can. You look at teams like Man United, they're a one-man team just now, aren't they? So you take their star man out and they're not very good, but he plays and he makes them tick. Villa have changed one or two personnel and what a difference. So I think one or two players can make a big difference and bring the best out. Another 3 or 4 in there for it's half your team that all of a sudden are playing at the top of their game. My man of the match today, I was torn between Ayer and Elyounoussis, but I'm going to give it to Elyounoussis. Just think he's playing a lot better now with those round about him, and McGregor and Turnbull in particular. I do wonder whether next weekend Christie might play instead of Frimpong's another option. Maybe we need to start with Frimpong. He didn't have a great last final, did he? So maybe that's an option, and therefore you could keep in either Sorrow or Turnbull, and I suspect it would be Turnbull. But man of the match today for me, Elyounoussis.
Yeah, I'm going to go Turnbull, man of the match. I thought some of the decision making in the final third wasn't great today. I feel like we could have had more goals if the decision making was better. The 2 goals we did get, Elyounoussis obviously cut in and done well. It took a deflection though, and the second goal comes for a Turnbull set piece, and I think his set pieces were probably the most dangerous aspect of our play today. So I've got to give it to Turnbull. That's all we've got time for today. Like the video, comment with your own thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you shortly for Twitter. Cheers.